I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for the attendance today for the August 2023 meeting of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. Please join us for the invocation and pledge led by Commissioner Butt. Let's pray. Our God and Father in heaven, we thank thee for this day, for the beauty of it, Father, for the opportunity to come together to consider wildlife and all thy creation. Father, we're thankful for the life itself and for the blessings that showered down upon us. Help us never take them for granted. Help us use wisdom in making decisions. Watch over and care for us. All this we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Butt. I want to welcome our guests today. Thank you all for taking the time out of your days to come. Clarence and Laura Dye are always faithful supporters, and thanks for the salsa. William Nolan with F&A. Larry Kontz with Tennessee Falconry. Mike and Crystal Frazier, welcome back. Jeff Wilburn with Falconry. Fred Moody, seems like I know him. Jeff Work with Tennessee Falconries. Roger Jenkins, Hardin County Commissioner. Richard Brown. Trey Walker with Falconry. Dr. Jones and Holly Lamar. Welcome, each one of you. Miss Mary, will you call the roll?
Chris Devaney.
Here.
Jimmy Granberry.
Here.
Monty Blue.
Here.
Stan Butt.
Here.
Wally Childress.
Here.
Bill Cox.
Here.
Chip Saltzman.
Here.
Hank Wright.
Here.
Brad Botts.
Here.
Rhonda Moody.
Here.
Kent Woods.
Here.
Greg Davenport.
Here.
Tommy Woods.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Miss Mary. Commissioners, you should have a copy of last minutes from last meeting. The chair will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second? Minutes approved. Commissioners, are there any announcements? Anyone have an announcement before we start? No announcements. Yeah. We do want to recognize Commissioner Childress today. I think he has a birthday, 35, right, Wally? So we celebrated with cake and some delicious strawberry ice cream that Commissioner Butt whipped up. And we always look for a reason to eat Commissioner Butt's ice cream because it's really good. And also we had some fishing trip yesterday morning, and I believe some of those boat captains may be here today, but they sacrificed their morning to take us fishing, and we had a really good time. It was hot out there, but they managed to catch us some fish and show us a really good time, and we really appreciate them for doing that. All right, moving on to our agenda. I would like to ask that Lieutenant Colonel Matt Majors come to the podium for recognition of the Boating Officer of the Year.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is one of those times I'm glad to stand in front of y'all. All right. So historically, when we've presented our Boating Officer of the Year, we've brought them up and we've told you how many tickets they wrote and all the things that they've done throughout the year. I'm going to change that up just a little bit. I'm going to tell you about the person. I don't want to tell you what all he's done. He's done phenomenal. But I want to tell you about the person. Matt Howard, would you come on up with me? We're proud of you. Let us show y'all. All right. Matt Howard, there were a number of your colleagues that were submitted for Boating Officer of the Year. 8, for example. Each of them excelled, and the decision was incredibly challenging. However, your enthusiasm, drive, positivity, and leadership by example set you apart from the others. Throughout the years, I've come to know you personally and professionally. I've seen many wildlife officers in my time, and I've continually been impressed by you as well as others. Here are some things I've seen that I have seen in your career, including your supervision. Your enthusiasm. Every time you go to work, Matt Howard, you go to work. I like that. You are eager each time you go on duty, and you always represent the agency in a professional manner. You look forward to making things better and not accepting anything less. I could talk about all your citations, warnings, BUI arrest, educational classes delivered to the public, how you've been a great officer in your county and a great friend. But I'd rather commend you on how you do your job, not what you do in it. Let me talk about your drive for a minute. So I've got this bad habit of listening to the radio, whether I'm on duty or off duty. It makes me feel like I'm part of the team, even though I'm in the office most of the time. One common trend I hear is that you're oftentimes on the water before everybody else, and you're the last one to leave. Your drive to ensure our waterway safety in District 31 is unmatched. Your enforcement efforts really show that you're working hard for our sportsmen and our boaters. Let me talk about your positivity. I've never seen you without a smile on your face. See? See? Please never lose that attribute. Your fellow officers see it, and it can be contagious. The public sees it, and it lets them know you come in peace. The command staff sees it, and it lets them know you are proud to wear this uniform of this great agency. Let me talk about your leadership. It's well known that there are supervisors and there are leaders. You, my friend, are a leader. Your actions show others what it means to be dedicated to the mission of boating safety and wildlife law enforcement. You remain positive and hopeful even when things get tough. You're an officer that others want to be around. You need no collar brass to be a leader, just a leader's heart. So I'll leave you with this, Matt Howard. Continue to set your goals and your ambitions high. You are the future of this great agency. Continue to make a positive impact in every aspect of your career. Continue to show others what it looks like to be exemplary. So before we present this award, our I&E team has put together a great video if you guys have time.
I mean, we want everybody to come out here and have a good time, enjoy our natural resources we have in the state. But our ultimate goal is everybody go home at the end of the day safely. We don't have any accidents. We're out here to make sure that everyone is abiding by state laws, state regulations, U.S. Coast Guard regulations with safe equipment, that they're obeying the rules of the water. Busy weekend out here consists of stops for, fishermen. We have paddle crafts on this lake, registered vessels. We're looking for fishing licenses, safety equipment, make sure there's no reckless operation of vessels, and most importantly, make sure nobody's operating their vessels while under the influence of alcohol and or drugs. So just something I've always enjoyed doing. I was raised as a kid on this lake, walleye fishing as a kid with my grandparents. So it's just something that I take very seriously and personal and enjoy being out here. So.
There it is again. See that smile? Matt Howard, it's my honor to present you with the 2022 Boating Officer of the Year Award.
Good job.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Majors. We'd like to recognize Mr. Joey Woodard with the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Foundation for the announcement of the 2023 Conservation Raffle. And before you speak, there's a couple of folks I missed. I don't know how I could have missed former Commissioner and Chairperson Angie Box. We miss her enthusiasm for life in general on the commission, and we're happy she come to join us last night in the supper. And Mike Butler with the Federation, Tennessee Wildlife Federation. I always want to recognize those folks, and thanks for coming. All right, Joey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to be here today. I'm excited to report on the results of our 2023 Conservation Raffle. And in years past, that's a lot better. Thank you. In years past, I've got up here and told everyone the how or the what. Today, I want to spend a little bit more time and back up and tell you a little bit about the why and the who behind all of this. And I'll start with that by talking about conservation funding, because that's really what we're here to talk about today. You know, it occurred to me yesterday as I was watching the budget meetings just how much money it takes to manage wildlife in Tennessee. And we're not special, we're not unique in that way in Tennessee. It costs that much to manage wildlife nationwide. And in the United States, conservation funding comes through the North American model of wildlife conservation. It's a model that was probably only articulated in 2001 or so, but its roots go way farther back to the turn of the 19th century. Folks like Teddy Roosevelt and Aldo Leopold. Some of those people realized that we were losing our wild places and our wild things. The buffalo were almost gone, white-tailed deer, wild turkeys. They recognized the need to conserve these things. And out of that came our North American model of wildlife conservation. And it's basically a pay-to-play system. That means the hunters, anglers, shooting sports enthusiasts, those are the people that pay for conservation in the United States. And don't panic, that's about as close as we're going to get to math in this slide. But what we've seen over the years is a decline in hunters. And we'll tie this right back together. If you've got a decline in hunters, you've got a decline in license sales, which means you have a decline in funding. And then you have a problem. So this is a really good quote. Conservation without funding is just conversation. And I've got unknown there, not because it's unknowable, simply because I don't know who said it first, but it stuck with me. It's a really good quote. And I think it's very fitting for what we're here to talk about today, because everyone appreciates conservation. Everyone may have a different definition of conservation or priority of what's important to conserve. But without funding, it doesn't happen. It costs money for conservation. And that's what I'm here to present on today. Tell you a little bit about who we are. We're the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization that was established in 1993 or 1999 to support TWRA. We do that in a number of ways. One way is to help through land acquisition, hunting and fishing heritage programs, habitat restoration, and lastly, fundraising. And specifically, that's what we're here to talk about today is the fundraising. I'm going to give you just a little bit of background about the Wildlife Conservation Raffle. Doesn't seem like it, but we've been doing this now for 6 years, and this really is a partnership. This is not TWRA's raffle. This is the foundation's raffle, but we couldn't do it without our partnership with TWRA. We use our nonprofit status. The Secretary of State's office allows us to have one annual raffle, and we choose this cause to support, and that partnership is really important to the success. Our first year was in 2018. It started with pretty humble beginnings. I think in 2018 we had an elk tag and a rifle, and we went out there to raise money. And it's grown since then. Each year we've seen growth in this event to the point that now it's become one of the most successful conservation raffles in the country. So I'm proud of the success we've had, and that all folds right back up into that partnership and all of the folks that work together to make this work. Get into the statistics for 2023. This year's raffle, we sold a total of 224,900. 73% of those tickets were purchased by Tennessee residents. And our gross revenue for 2023 was $2,495,240. And that is a new record for our raffle. Keep in mind, these are unaudited numbers, so they're rough numbers, but they're very close. That represents a 31% year-over-year increase, and we're really excited about that. Here's a heat map that shows you that this is a nationwide raffle. We sold tickets to people in every state in the country. But if you look at the colors on the map, you can see that Tennessee is red hot. And that's where most of our tickets are sold. And then several tickets in our neighboring states in the Southeast. Back to the conservation funding theme. This is a look at the cumulative revenue that's been generated by this raffle since its inception. And that shows across the 6 years the growth of that raffle. And you can see this year, almost $2.5 million. And that's impressive in and of itself. That kind of money can do a lot of conservation. But when you look at the federal structure and the way that we do conservation, and think about when you take that a little over $8 million that's been raised cumulatively, and then you match that with the federal dollars that are out there, we can put $33 million worth of conservation in the ground in Tennessee. And that is impressive, and that is impactful. So we're proud to have been a part of it, and that's what conservation funding looks like through this raffle. None of that could have happened without our wildlife conservation raffle partners. These are industries, many of them in Tennessee or across the country, that support conservation. They don't just talk about it. They put their money where their mouth is. They provide product. They make donations, and we're really proud of their support. Mid-South Ford, Oliver Travel Trailer, Bass Pro Shops, Henry, Academy, Realtree, Best of the West, Axel, Lacrosse, Hawk, Pack Rabbit, Bagara, TriStar, Danner, Parker's Outfitting, Colonel Littleton, Gunner Kennels, Rattay, Darton, Hawk, SME, Muddy, and Knapp. And those are just the ones that were helping us with this event. But we have other events throughout the year, and there are other names that go along with it. But it's what's really impressed me is just how much this industry comes together to support conservation. Most of the products in our raffle this year were donated. And they were donated by these companies because they recognize the need for conservation. They're smart enough in business to know that if we don't have more hunters and anglers, their business model is not going to work. So we really appreciate their support. I want to quickly go through some of the packages that we have this year, and I'm going to do a little reading here to make sure I don't miss anything. They're in no particular order. I'm just going to run through a list of all 10 packages. This year we have a $50,000 Ford voucher, that was donated from Mid-South Ford dealers. They've been a raffle partner since 2020. I think this is their fourth year that they've partnered with us. This voucher is good towards the purchase of any new Ford vehicle across the Southeast. The next package I want to present is a new one for us, a new partner, Oliver Travel Trailer. We're really proud to have them as a partner in 2023. They make the finest luxury campers in the world, hands down. There's no doubt about it. I don't know a lot about campers, so as I started researching Oliver, I was blown away at the quality of these units. The amazing part is they're built right on the road in Hohenwald, Tennessee. This is a Legacy Elite 2 camper. It features a flat screen TV, LP stove, water heater, refrigerator, microwave, full bathroom, and a Solar Pro power package. These trailers are built with a double hull fiberglass design, and these campers are made to last a lifetime. So it's just an amazing package here that we have. The next package is the Tennessee elk hunting package. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to hunt bull elk here in Tennessee. The winner of this package will receive a bull elk tag for Zone 1 in North Cumberland, WMA, with access to more than 6,800 acres. The unit boasts a near 100% success days of their hunt. They're going to get an additional 7 days to hunt the entire WMA, access to the entire WMA. So the person who wins this package got a really good chance at killing a Tennessee bull. October 14th through the 20th, and then the additional 7 days thereafter. We've included, it's not just an elk hunt, but everything you need to go elk hunting. We've included a Bergara B14 Wilderness HMR rifle. That's in 6.5 PRC. It's got Hawk Optics Endurance 4-16 by 50 scope, a $500 gift certificate from Realtree Apparel, a $500 gift certificate from Axel for a GS digital hearing device, and a gift certificate for any pair of Danner boots. So it's not just an elk hunt, but everything you'll need to be successful on that elk hunt. The next package I want to highlight, fishing package. Johnny Morris and the good folks at Bass Pro have supported this raffle since it started. Remember, I talked about way back in 2018, we had an elk tag and a rifle. Bass Pro Shops gave us that rifle, so they're as responsible as anybody for the success of where we're at today. And this year they've given us a Tracker Pro Team 175 TF and trailer that has a Mercury 60 horse Minn Kota trolling motor and a Lowrance fish finder. So it is ready for the water. Pretty much all you need is a license and a fishing pole. Hop in this thing and you're ready to go. Next up is our hunting package. This package offers 4 Tennessee Lifetime Sportsman's License, a new original Henry Deluxe in 4440. This is a limited edition rifle made especially for the rifle. It features the Tennessee TriStar on the receiver and a custom serial number. So there won't be many like it in the world. You're unlike. This package also includes a Colonel Little journal. And the next package is the Tennessee Trophy Deer Hunting Package. And this is a President. So if you're not a bow hunter, you may not be familiar with President's Island, but if you're a bow hunter, then you probably know all about President's Island. It's one of the most coveted quota hunts in Tennessee. Right now, it takes about 15 years to get drawn. Place to hunt, and this package is incredible. Who wins this not only gets to hunt in the December rut hunt there on the, but they also get to go in the October hunt as well. So the person who draws this gets to hunt in both hunts. They get a Darton Toxin 100 SS XB30 crossbow scope. They're getting a $500 gift card, a Muddy Garage blind, Hawk helium hammock saddle, and Apex platform, and helium climbing sticks. Once again, you don't have to be a bow hunter. This package, we're giving you everything you need to get in your car, drive to President's Island, and kill the buck of a lifetime. Next up, I want to talk to you about the long-range shooting package. This is a precision long-range shooting package from Best of the West. Those that have it's a shooting system. The rifle and you range your target, you dial it in, send it. This year we have a Best of the West All Topo 6.5 PRC. It's topped with a Husqvarna 5x20 by 50 blue diamond scope, which is basically the top of the line in optics. Comes with 2 boxes of ammunition, a Husqvarna wind reader, a Boyd lockable hard case, an SME bullseye camera systems, 1 mile camera system. When you're shooting at those ranges, it takes a while to walk and check your target. So now with this camera system, you don't have to do that. It also includes a $500 gift certificate for Axle for a GS digital hearing device. Next package is the Outdoor Adventure Package. Again, longtime partner in our efforts here with the Conservation Raffle. That's Academy Sports and Outdoors. They've offered up a $5,000 gift card in Academy. And whether you're getting hunting, fishing supplies, or I've got 2 kids that play soccer or volleyball and football and everything else, whatever you need, you can get at Academy. And this is a $5,000 gift card. Good for that. This is the Ultimate Waterfowl Hunting Package. It's a 2-day with Parker's Outfitting on Reelfoot Lake. Reelfoot Lake is one of the most famed waterfowl destinations in the country. And Ben Parker has a reputation of getting on the ducks. So whoever wins this is going to have a good time right there in West. 12-gauge shotgun in real tree timber, a Gunner G1 intermediate kennel, a $500 gift certificate for tree hunting apparel, and a gift certificate for any pair of lacrosse waders, and a $500 gift certificate for Axle GS digital hearing device included in that package. And last but talk about our Preston Pittman turkey hunting package. Preston Pittman is probably the most famous turkey hunter in the world. I think he's a 5-time world champion turkey caller, but the guy is also a hoot to be around. I'm not sure how they kill turkeys every spring with him because they spend some time blind laughing, but Preston's just a phenomenal guy and a great ambassador for the sport. The lucky winner of this package is going to not only get to hunt with Preston in Tennessee, but they're going to get to participate in our 2024 Governor's One-Shot Turkey Hunt and Banquet. This package also comes with a TriStar Viper G2 410 turkey gun, a 5-axle hearing device, and then a full collection of Pittman game calls. And when I say full collection, I mean full collection. The last time Preston showed up with a truckload, this person is going to have a lot of turkey calls. They're also going to get a $500 gift card for real tree hunting apparel, a Pack Rabbit Hunters combo, game haul, chest vest, and a gift certificate for any pair of lacrosse hunting boots. And that's all of our 10 packages that I've highlighted here. Again, they were in not necessarily in any order, just those are the 10 packages. Of time here to tell you how this raffle works, especially for those that are viewing the live streaming today. We have 10 prize packages, but only 1 raffle. In the state of Tennessee, a nonprofit can have 1 raffle. And when you're buying tickets, you're buying tickets to this entire raffle. You can't buy tickets for a certain prize package. 1 ticket is for $20. You can buy 3 tickets for $50 or 10 tickets for $100. This raffle has been going on for 120 days. And each ticket sold is assigned a unique identification number. And on Tuesday, August 22nd, we pulled at random 10 ticket numbers. And I'm here to report on those today. After this presentation, we'll begin contacting and notifying winners via email and phone. And then over the next few days, the winners will select from available packages in the order that they were drawn until all the prize packages have been awarded. Complete the necessary paperwork and collect their prizes on Saturday, September 16th at the Wildlife Conservation Raffle Celebration. All right. So without further ado, here we go. We're gonna announce the 2023 winners. First one right out of the gate is Sharice Gesford from Sevierville, Tennessee. Number 2 this year is Mark Dennington from Cedar Grove, Tennessee. Number 3 is Joel Stansbury from Hickson, Tennessee. Number 4, Jesse Boudreau from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. Number 5, Stephen Calvert from Morris Chapel, Tennessee. Number 6, Jeff Petroff from Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Number 7, John Farowich from Caryville, Tennessee. Number 8 is Michael Frank from Lobelville, Tennessee. Number 9, Steve Crawley from Shady Valley, Tennessee. And the last, number 10 is Alexander Musara from Clarksville, Tennessee. So I want to congratulate all these winners on being drawn for the again, their name came out of the hat. So they are a winner of one of the 10 prize packages. They will get to select their prize packages in the order that their number was pulled. But these are our 10 winners for 2023. And I want to end on a thank you to our partners, obviously. The industry partners that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. This raffle wouldn't be as effective. Certainly cost a lot of money. Most of these products were donated, and I can't say enough about these industry partners, but they're not the only partners that make this thing work. We have it's the partnership between us and the agency, and not just the folks in the agency. Don King and Jason Harmon, Lee Wilmot, the folks in I&E help us with marketing, but also even on the commission. Commissioner Brad Box and his much better half, Miss Angie, they helped us by reaching out to friends and getting Luke Bryan to help us with some advertising and marketing. We appreciate that. Even Bill Cox helping us reach out to Bill Dance. It's not hard to raise money when you've got an icon like Bill Dance on your team trying to help you market your raffle. So we appreciate all of that, and this raffle wouldn't have been successful without those kinds of partnerships. And I think it speaks to how much we understand in this room that conservation, without conservation funding, it just doesn't happen. I also want to thank our TWRF staff. I may be the one up here at the podium presenting today, and this is basically 10 minutes of my life presenting on this, but the raffle lasted 120 days, but the work on this year's raffle started in October of last year. Johnny and I started securing packages in October. Richard was working on graphics over the winter. Dan was working on the website and our e-commerce side. They've been working the phones for the last 4 months. Can't say enough about those guys. It puts a lot of pressure on our small staff. We're only an outfit of 6, but we all come together to pull this thing off, and I really appreciate all their hard work. And I really think there's nothing that can be said about this year's effort except that it's an unqualified success. And most of all, I think we need to thank the participants because we've got partners and we put in all this work, but it's really the people that bought tickets this year. They put the conservation, they kept it from being conservation instead of just another conversation. So really appreciate everyone that bought a ticket this year. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd turn it over for any questions y'all might have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Woodward, and thanks for the foundation. This continues to grow each year, and I know there's a lot of partners involved, but you guys do the heavy lifting, and that's much appreciated by the commission and the agency. I can't say that enough. And congratulations to each and every winner. It looks like we had everyone from Tennessee but one. So that's encouraging that the folks in our state are benefiting from this raffle more than anyone. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to any commissioners that would have any comments concerning this.
The packages be at different location this time, or will it be at Bass Pro in Nashville like it has been in the past?
It's going to be at Bass Pro in Nashville on the
Okay,
16th.
and that's on the 16th of September?
Saturday the 16th. And I would encourage any commissioners that are in town, would love to have you as our guest. We'll have some TWRA staff there and our staff there as well, the winners, and sometimes they'll bring family members as well.
I can attest to the fact that when those packages are awarded, the reception is unbelievable from the people that won it, and the families as well as the individuals are elated for that. So firsthand experience is, if you have an opportunity, try to be there.
That's right. It's a fun time.
Commissioner Granberry.
Joey, what are you doing next year? No, but seriously, Joey, you thanked everybody, but we thank you. You set a great leadership goal for your staff, and from the one shot to the dove hunt next week to this raffle, you're a great partner. And I speak for myself and the rest of the commission. We really appreciate everything you do for this agency, and you don't get enough credit for all your hard work and the calls and taking our calls and everything else, but we really thank you.
Thank you for that.
I'd like to put our director a little bit on the spot. Tell us, or the public, how this money benefits the agency. Just briefly, what we do with this money.
You stole my
Is that a
thunder,
fair
Commissioner
question?
Cox. Yes, sir. So we will put this habitat on the ground. There's two things that the foundation does with the agency, and they'll transfer that money. It will come to our wildlife fund. And once it comes there, we will actually use it for habitat projects to put habitat on the ground. The other thing that they do that, of course, you all are aware of, the public may not be aware of, is help us with land purchases. There are pieces of property that come up for sale that we can't buy through the regular state system in a timely manner. And so a lot of times they will buy those and hold those until we can appropriate funds and then get those bought. Of course, we do that after an appraisal process. But those are the two key ways that we use that funding.
But we leverage it with PR money.
That is correct. So we leverage that, and Joey showed the match funds on there, but as most of you know, we're funded through the sale of hunting and fishing licenses, and then we get federal match. And so since that money hits our wildlife fund, we can get that match money that's put on there, and those dollars drastically increase and help us to be able to put that habitat on the ground.
Anyone else? All right. And I guess, Director, you made your comment there. So you want to say something? All right. Come to the podium.
I got to steal the podium for just a minute. I want to say congratulations first to the 10 winners. Also, just want to thank everybody. I know Joey did this, but thank you to everybody that purchased a ticket. It's not just a ticket. It's more about conservation. You made an investment in conservation in our state. And I want to thank Joey and his team. He's slim and trim, 6 members. He mentioned all their names, but I also want to thank them. They work hard all year long to secure these packages, to work on the marketing. It's a big effort. Joey, I don't want to make sure I'm saying this right, but I think we have the biggest conservation raffle in the country. Am I right?
I think so.
I will say this. So it made the news last night. Mississippi just did their raffle. And Director Posey, forgive me for saying this, but they raised $130,000. It made the news last night. But one interesting thing that made the news last night was they specifically said in there that they're hoping to be able to mimic the raffle in Tennessee. And so I get to go to these meetings called Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies and Southeastern Association. And every director asks me, says, what is going on? How are you all raising so much funds with the conservation raffle? They invited Joey to come last year with all the foundation directors there, and they're wanting to learn the ideas and the ways that this is happening. So thank you. Thank your team. Again, there's 6 of them. You mentioned their names, but they work hard all year long to do this. And thank you to everybody that purchased a ticket. It will be used to put habitat on the ground. So thank you for your hard work, Joey.
Thank you, Director. And thank you again, Joey, and thanks to the foundation. It's just like I said, every year it continues to get bigger, and a lot of hard work goes into that. Okay, moving on. At this time, I'd like to ask Lieutenant Colonel Majors to come back to the podium for the presentation of the suspension of a no-wake zone.
Mr. Chairman, while he's coming, Joey, what's the time on that Bass Pro to when they give out the awards?
So we'll
September
start
16th.
So from 11 to about 1 p.m.
Okay, thanks.
So again, Proclamation 2310 is just a temporary lift to the no-wake zone there at Nickajack Lake on Marion County Park, done by the Greater Jasper JC's drag boat races, and be October 14th and 15th. It does have a rain out date for the 16th and 17th, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., but they're usually done by 5 or 5:30. Any questions?
Any questions from any of the chairmans, commissioners? I have no questions. Any comments from the public? All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion from Commissioner Cox, a second from Commissioner Butt. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Deputy Director Frank Fiss to come for the budget presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. Yesterday, I presented the proposals for the FY24 expansion and the FY25 budget. How does the mic get turned off? Is everyone turning it off as they leave? I never do that. All right, thank you. Yeah, just to. So we have two. I'll show you the FY24 budget proposal. Here's expenditures on the left, the funding sources on the right. This includes carry forwards and expansions that we went. You saw in your booklet and we talked briefly about yesterday. And I also have the FY25 budget, just for the record as well here. Request a motion by the Budget Committee.
Any questions from the commissioners? Comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee met yesterday and recommended, and I move approval of the amended 24 budget and the approval of the new 24-25 budget.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second from Commissioner Granberry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll leave this on for Director Ware.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break, so we'll fire back up in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Catch a 30-inch trout on a night crawler, sign me up. Or, hey, go catch some creek chubs and you'll go catch a walleye. I don't care. I'm in it to, I want to catch fish. I like to go catching, not fishing. So again, that's human nature.
Yeah.
And it starts there. And you hear a story, you're on these Facebook pages, you see where people are fishing, what they're catching, not necessarily how they're catching, but they're catching the fish. And then it's up to you to figure it out. So it starts, the Master Angler 1 is just catch 5 citation fish. Doesn't matter what they are.
And you said your first one was a stripe or a hybrid. So that was a 40 or a 30-inch fish.
Sure.
For your first one.
I believe the hybrid was 33. It's still, to this date, one of the only fish I've caught that I didn't, and I return everything. I don't
Catch and release.
Catch and release.
Yeah.
That hybrid was 33 inches and weighed right at 20 pounds.
Wow.
And I released him in the hopes of catching him when he weighed over 23 pounds for the state record. It's probably, I think it's one of 2 fish in my life that I wish I'd kept him mounted.
Oh yeah.
So it's just one of those things. And I don't catch and eat them. It's if I want a good fillet of something, I'll just walk down to Kroger and get me something.
So before we get too deep, just so I got the things in line here, 'cause I've never entered tarp. I don't know exactly, but do you measure this on site and show a picture of the measurement, and how do you make sure it's qualified?
Well, there's actually 2 different methods in which you can do it. The first one being you're fishing with a buddy, a partner, somebody on the bank, a witness. So, and honestly, it's a honor thing.
Honor system.
It's an honor system. And to me, there's no virtue in trying to attain a goal that you're cheating yourself. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything to anyone other than yourself, or in my instance, me. And so you have a lot of, time invested in these different fish of trying to catch them of certain sizes. So, so back to the original question, you have to have a witness that signs off on it, that it was X number of inches long, where it was, what it was caught on, etc. You release the fish. The second one being, if you're fishing by yourself, you put a ruler on the deck and you hope to guide you and get your fish to hold still for long you to dig your cell phone out and for you to snap a picture
And not knock it in the water.
yeah. And so once you do that, you submit it to you folks, and you guys certify it and send it back. Super easy.
Was it a quick turnaround when you send these in?
It all varies.
Okay, we may not need to go down that road. Dan, sorry.
Well, I mean, again, it doesn't really matter, but sometimes they come back in a week and sometimes it takes a month. So it just depends on how busy you folks are. And every business, regardless of what you are, there's ups and downs. So it takes some time.
Exactly. It's turnover, things like that.
So you're level 5.
Yes, sir.
What does it take to become a tarp level 5 angler?
It takes a lot of time.
How much time do you think it's taken?
I don't know.
When you started?
I can tell you the hardest one that has been for me has been the rainbow trout. That number is out of whack. It's 24 inches.
Yeah.
And maybe it's out of whack for the method in which I fish. Let's put it that way. I have been fishing for that fish for 10 years of 24. Now, if you said how many 23 and a half inches have you caught, I'd probably say close to 50. That 23, the 23 to 24 it's not an easy fish, but you definitely can catch them.
Yeah.
That 24 inch or bigger for a rainbow it's hard. It's hard.
That's
Yeah.
big.
It's
That
hard.
really is big. I mean, you think about it. 2 rulers.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it's
I
a
mean,
big.
Do you have any input on that?
No, I agree. It's hard. It's hard. And I know talking from Jim, who's on your list of the first level 1 angler.
Yeah, Jim. He's a biologist here in Region 4.
Yeah, he always says, he's like, man, if I could just get another 1/4 inch out of a fish, it's like, so I
stretcher.
get that. Yeah, yeah.
But your son caught a 29er.
Well,
Is that
he did, and for Christmas I actually got a replica made of it.
Oh,
coming.
cool.
That's cool.
So, but we got on a bite this year that was unbelievable, and it was this for about a month. Would go and fish over that 24 inch mark. We'd probably catch 3 or 4 in an outing, and God only knows how many 15 to 20 to 22 inches.
Really
I
nice.
mean, you get sick of catching them.
Mhm.
And one day we probably hooked 5 fish, and seriously, we'd set the hook and I'd hit in the pole. We've caught our fish. I've caught my fish, and it's about bringing him along with me to make sure that he does it. And so I have a fishing buddy, right? And now you can't beat him off with a stick to get him out of the boat.
Oh, yeah.
But we got on a bite. We figured something out on one of the tailwaters, and it was just unbelievable. I mean, just absolutely unbelievable. And hooked some fish we never saw. And I fish with generally 2 units of water. I don't ever fish one of our local tailwaters with 0 units, never, unless I'm trying to catch bait, which I'm sure that's going to make you cringe.
No,
But
it's okay.
it was one of those magical years. Now back to the original rainbow trout question. I took one of y'all's fellow officers in a trout tournament this year on Watauga Lake. Corey Jones, good friend, great guy.
Yeah.
Took him and his 2 boys, and
Boy.
I was pre-fishing with another buddy of mine and caught the rainbow trout. It was like 24 1/8 inches. Caught it on my buddy, who actually is the number 2 person in the state to do this, Jamie Rudolph,
Oh, okay.
who couldn't make it. But I caught it on his pole because he was reeling in a lake trout on the other side of the boat. and he and I had been after that fish, that rainbow trout for a long time. He got it up, and there it is. It's a 24 1/8 inch, and it was like, oh my God, where'd that thing come from? but that fish kind of set the tone. We got on the rainbow trout bite, and it was unbelievable. I mean, to this day in my entire life, I've never been part of something like that. I mean, every time you'd go, we hooked fish that got spooled us. Because if you beefed the line up, you couldn't do anything. We had fish go into the dam, into the grates, which never happened. Have fish wrap you around rocks. I mean, it's just, you get a big fish on in fast water, on light line, it becomes a mess. And you better hope you have someone that can run a boat.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
Well, any tips? We're not looking for your secret method, but for people that want to go out and catch a trout, a nice trophy-sized trout to them.
Again, it boils back to people tend to try to fish the way they think, the way they see something, the way, oh, this looks good. And this is not like an epiphany, but you go out, you try to duplicate what you think the fish are biting, whether it be a night crawler or a minnow or something to that effect. And you rig it to effect that it's more a natural presentation. And again, it goes back to fluorocarbon. I mean, and if you go back to the fluorocarbon, it helps hide the human presence to it. And I know I've harped on it already, but I can tell you it makes a tremendous difference, more so than anything else.
Yeah. Well, got any more fish stories on some of the on that list? I guess this isn't the full list. This was an early. I keep pointing at it. But this was an early poster of the TARP program, and there's only 20 fish on this one, I think it is, but there's 27, I think, fish now or something like that you can catch. What was some more of the fun ones that helped you get to this level?
The muskie.
Oh no, that is a fish I want to go after.
It's supposed to be the fish of 1,000 casts, and
3 for you, right? 3 casts.
Seriously, it was.
Was it?
That's where I'm headed with this. I have a buddy that lives on the Nolechucky River, kind of down off of 107.
Interesting. Huh.
And well, I've always heard my entire life that those fish are there, right?
Yeah.
Well, he said, Andrew, I saw somebody catch one. I said, Jerry, you just don't go see somebody catch a 40-inch muskie. It's just, he said, I did. Well, his property borders, he said, come down. I'll even show you what they're throwing. We go down there, and it's a whopper plopper in its early stages, and the big whopper plopper. And we're down there on the side of a bank. It's muddy. I'm up 5 feet off the bank, throwing it out their third cast. You're actually making fun. It seriously happened like that.
Third cast.
Hey, it was the third cast. So they hooked it, and it was about a 36-inch muskie. But before it was over with, I got so excited because it was one of those fish, and it's south. It's hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
I slipped into the water. I looked like a tar baby coming out. I mean, I was covered in mud, and it was silt down at the bottom. So when I got up there, I had mud up to my knees. I had an arm that was caked in. The rod was laying down there, but I had that muskie under the gills, holding it like this. I mean, I looked like a pig in mud, wallowing around, and that got me started. From there, I went to go get permission to launch a boat. I have a jet boat that I run. Launch a boat, and in a month's time, I don't know how many we hooked, but we wound up catching. I caught 3 or 4 that summer, and that is a fish that was caught on artificial, and had several follows. My buddy, who I mentioned, Jamie, he was fishing with me one day, and he had been fishing with a still leader for 45 minutes or an hour, 2 hours. We'd always fish right before dark. Well, it got into a mess, and he said, "To hell with it! I'm gonna put on a 100-pound leader because that's what I got." He throws it out there, cranking it back, and that just thump, 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 like the whopper plopper does, and a big, huge explosion, and a big muskie. It's top water too, and so it makes it. There's an added element there of excitement. You see that fish boil, and it's thrashing. He hooks it and has it on for 20 minutes, and they tend to come to the fish we have caught tend to come to the boat easy, and then they go bonkers.
They see the boat.
A brown trout does the same thing. I mean, a big brown just goes absolutely nuts. This thing's jump back and forth, and he jumps out of the water, and he's got the whopper plopper strung on the side of his face, and the bait's about that big. And then it gets next to the boat. I didn't have a net. Recipe for disaster automatically. So I don't have a net. There it sits. It gets spooked one more time, takes off. It runs out from here 20 yards off the boat.
They don't tire out fast, do they?
No. And the thing jumps again. And this time the lure's on the other side of the fish, and the line is running through its mouth. Ooh. And when it did that, the line cuts. And
Wah, wah, wah.
oh, I'll never forget my buddy's face. And he sits down in the back of the boat, and he's sitting there just like this, and it's like somebody just told him his best dog died or his grandma died. I mean, and he just sits back there for 20 minutes because he's spent all summer trying to catch his fish with me, and I've caught several. We actually had 8 blow-ups that night. Got one in, and he lost that big one, but he has since then caught one in Milton Hill.
Yeah.
But it was just like someone told him his dog died, and I'll never forget it. And it was my fault because I didn't have a friggin' net in the boat. It's not a fish you just pick down and you pick up and grab anyways.
So people right now are Googling Highway 107,
Yeah.
Whopper Plopper, fluorocarbon.
Go wear it out. That's the one fish. Do not fish with fluorocarbon. Still leader about that long.
100-pound test.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right through it.
Come.
Wow, that's
That's
crazy.
cool.
That is cool, though. I think that's the next fish I want to go after. I got a buddy that's already told me. He said, we're going to go. He pulled out a tackle box and looked at the baits. He was like this. I'm like, are you serious? So
Sure.
it should be a fun trip. And he likes to do it on a fly rod, too.
Another element to it.
That's cool.
A lot of effort there.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you?
The next is there is no 6 level yet. And understandably, I'm 1. And it's been around for what you guys said, 20 years.
Yeah.
So next is the goal is now to get them all.
Yeah.
And some of them, I mentioned to you guys earlier today that the big goal for me was always to catch them in East Tennessee. It actually means, I mean, sure, you can travel to certain lakes that are known for certain fish and catch those fish. And it was just something I wanted to do east and basically in the Johnson City area. There's a handful of lakes there and rivers that have these fish in them, and you just go to when they're biting. And like I said, I've caught 21 now, and 1 has come from a lake outside of East Tennessee, and that was a blue cat. And they're hard to come by in East Tennessee, period. And it came from Watts Bar. So
yeah,
easy trip.
Well, good luck to catching them all. I think that's
No
awesome.
doubt.
Yeah. What do you lack?
Oh, what do I lack?
Yeah.
I like some easy ones. I like a black crappie.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
Maybe it's not so easy.
Yeah.
I see that one on the list.
I guess that's the
Oh,
old
there it is,
list. Yeah, there it
14.
is. There it is.
Yeah. And I've caught a couple prior. I've caught a couple that for whatever reason I didn't
enter.
Okay.
The black crappie, the bowfin, not even sure
yeah.
where I'm going to go to get. I know that one's not in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
The long nose gar. That's another one. Then the
Yeah,
spotted
solids.
gars are like that's. I've never caught a long nose. The sauger,
Oh yeah.
which will come from right down here in your all's neck of the woods.
Oh yeah.
And
If it's a trophy sauger, it's going in the skillet, man.
that's exactly
delicious.
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I want you to mention the world record for or state record for goldfish.
Yeah.
Who got that?
Yeah. Oh boy. Walbert got the Class B where he was bow fishing for goldfish, so he's very, very proud of it. Gotta give him a shout out.
Got it hanging on the wall.
He's got it hanging on the wall. He likes it when people notice when they come over.
By the way, have you seen my
Yeah.
goldfish?
Oh, yeah.
he's beat his own record, right?
He's beat his own record,
Oh,
so he
yeah.
has 2 state records framed, everything. Oh yeah,
That's great.
it's all about it.
Yeah, so check out our website, tnwildlife.org. Check out our guide. All the information on tarp and state records are there. We got a couple state records here behind us.
A world
World record.
World
sorry,
record.
that's a world record.
Smallmouth right there,
That's
man.
a world record. That's a state record. Anyway, we got a lot of cool records here in Tennessee, and it's a great place to fish. Andrew, thank you for being here.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
This has been fun and a lot of fun information, a lot of cool stories, a lot of fish stories told today.
Makes you want to go fishing.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. Well, this is Tennessee Wildcast. Like I said, tnwildlife.org for all things hunting and fishing, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Everybody get settled in, and we'll continue on. We're now moving into the, I'm tongue-tied here. We're now moving into the continuation of the rulemaking hearing from the June 2023 Commission meeting. The Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission is in the middle of considering two rules. I am Commission Chair Tommy Woods, and I will serve as presiding officer for the rulemaking hearing. In addition to the written public comment period, which began in late April, and at its June 2023 Commission meeting, the Commission has heard extensive public comment on both rules that were continued to this month's meeting. The Commission instructed the agency to make some revisions to both rules being heard on feedback from stakeholders. Those rule revisions have been available on the agency's website. While the public comment period has formally closed, the agency has continued to accept and log public comments on both rules and has directly worked with the stakeholder groups. I'd like to thank the agency and those groups for working together. While the Commission will accept verbal comment, it will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. I will ask Chief Denton and our legal counsel to keep a timer. All parties should identify themselves before speaking. As chair, I reserve the right to limit comments and discussions, especially in case of repetition. I further ask that if you have submitted written comment or if you have spoke at the last commission meeting, please do not reinstate comments that you have already provided. Lastly, this will not be a question and answer period. For both of the rules at issue, Deputy Director Weir will make the presentation. I will then open the floor to public comment consistent with my instructions. The Commission will vote via roll call. Deputy Director Weir, please present the rulemaking relative to live wildlife.
See if I can figure this mic out since everybody's having problems with it. I'm doubly paranoid when I'm up here now. They put me at the last of the agenda again, and ever since Commissioner Moody's been here, she's made me self-conscious about putting everybody to sleep, so I'll try to be brief. But I'll start off with the rule amendment to 1660-01-18, the rules and regs for live wildlife. Make sure I can work this thing. Again, most of the changes that we've made here were all aimed at clarification. There's been some confusion on some of the terms and definitions and things that may or may not have been in print in this rule. So we just want to spell some of that out. Firstly, that the possession permit is required for possessing any class 1 or 2 wildlife. That's always been the case, but we put it in rule. And as it has always been the case, that does not apply to someone with a falconry permit that has falcons or raptors for falconry purposes. A propagation permit is required to propagate or breed any class 2 wildlife. So that's different than the possession permit. And then we clarified again that the possession permit is not required for someone with a propagation permit. It also allows the propagation permit holders to the date and location of that transaction where it would be. Is required when exhibiting class 2 captive native wildlife when charging a fee. So it only applies with class 2 sales or auctions that charge admission fees to require that exhibitor permit. Again, this has always been the case, but we put it in this rule. No fee can be charged when you're exhibiting wild caught native wildlife. But temporary exhibitors that come into the state, if they're not charging a fee, they can get a free of charge exhibitor permit for their shows. If I can go back here. Propagated wildlife that require class 2 permit have to be microchipped or tattooed upon taking possession of the animal. Or we discussed this with some folks following the last meeting. and change some of the wording in here, depending on the species, the health and safety of the animal. It doesn't have to be done as possession, but we're giving them 180 days, or if there's some reason that they can't do it, if it's a chipmunk or small animal that they feel that they can't put a pit tag in or tattoo, then we'll have a conversation about making an exception for that. Also, we added that temporary exhibitors exhibiting Class 1 wildlife need to have a diagram of the layout of their display that they'll be doing. Classes directly from Tennessee Code Annotated Title 70. And some of the additions that were consented were the Class 1 species, the hyenas there. Added those two to Class 1s. Class 5, to the environment, that one addition was, again, those were agreed upon by the Department of Ag. And then a couple of movements on the the rear-fanged poisonous snakes or venomous snakes. The North American native species, we moved from Class 1 to Class 3. They've always been in the pet trade. There's not been a documented instance of a human death from these. So we moved them to Class 3 so that it would be legal to possess them. And then similarly, from Class 1 to Class 2, if it's a Tennessee native species or rear-fanged poisonous snake, again, the other North American ones, and that would be like a northern hognose snake, eastern hognose snake, or the eastern garter snake that are common in Tennessee. The Class 2, a native Tennessee species, they have to have from a legal source. They can't capture it from the wild and take it into their possession. We added the definition again straight from the code for native wildlife because there had been some confusion on that. It was mentioned, debated previously about those animals. I wanted to point out one key word in that definition. So now for those animals that are presently living in the wild in Tennessee, or those extirpated species that should reasonably be expected to survive. So extirpated means that they're locally extinct. They used to occur here in Tennessee. Now, in this case, it would be, say, elk, for example. They had been extirpated, and so they're still considered native wildlife. We deleted native and passage raptors just for clarity, added caimans and gavials to Class 3. That was already in the code, and it had previously been in the rule. We just left it off by mistake in the earlier draft. There was a misspelling that we cleared up, and then just, again, because of some questions that we've had over this rule, just wanted to clarify. Bobcats are mentioned specifically in the rule and in the title. They're wildlife, but a bobcat and domestic cat hybrid are less restricted as far as what you can have. Any hybrids of Class 4 species, and it says it in here, other than bobcat, are also Class 4. That's not a change. That was already in the law, but I just wanted to point that out because there's been some discussion on that. And we'll continue to have discussions on how we can better clarify that in the future. For the facilities, we added language that exhibitor permits are not valid unless they're inspected and approved by the agency, and that they need to have that permit and approval of the inspection on hand. We clarified that mobile and temporary are one and the same, and added language so that if someone has a temporary facility that's displaying poisonous animals, they have to have antivenin for each species on site. Deleted some redundant language that wasn't needed in there. We added language to rehab facilities that they are required to take some basic training courses that are offered by the National Wildlife Rehabbers Association, Wildlife Rehabbers Council. Also added language relative to biosafety and security, and clarified that those rehab facilities are closed to the public except for educational animals that they have on display outside the facility. We set in rule the best practice rehab periods, and so we set the longest term possible, and the wildlife would more than likely, if releasable, would be released prior to that established time period. We removed white-tailed deer so that there's no more inconsistency with our CWD strategy in the state. We don't want folks rehabbing deer and moving them around and re-releasing them somewhere. And then we added language that an educator has to conduct a minimum of 12 events per calendar year. And that concludes the presentation on the rules for captive wildlife.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Members of the commission, are there any questions or comments relative to the rule amendment proposed by Deputy Director Ware? Hearing none. Are there any comments from the public? And I have a list here that folks signed and if they wanted to speak. So I'm going to go down that list and get the ones first. So Mr. Frazier, please come to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to say that we really appreciate all the work all of yous has done since June with the confusion, because I know it's took a lot of time on your part. We really do appreciate that. I got two things real quick. One, under the permits, on the propagation permits. Now, this has always been Tennessee code. This has not changed. But Tennessee code TCA 74-410C, that requires, in order to buy this propagation license to propagate in the state of Tennessee, that you first have and maintain a USDA federal license. That's supposed to be checked prior. That has not been happening. We do have a lot of people in the state of Tennessee that are propagating illegal. That has not been happening. So that's something we need to look into to make sure we are actually making sure they have that federal license before they receive that propagation license. And then the other thing, I talked to Mr. Grimes and Mr. Ware and several of you already about the bobcats being listed under class 4. Now, it does say that they are exempt, but it literally, what you've got is a bobcat in its pure form is class 2. A bobcat, if they would hybridize, and I'll tell you they will not. Scientific labs cannot even make them. We've tried, wish we could. They'd be worth a ton, but they will not. But if they could, they're class 3. But then it lists them again saying all class 4 animals except for bobcats. That's going to cause confusion with officers that they could list those as class 4, which means they only be owned by a zoo. So when I have a client that's in Lowe's or PetSmart or anywhere else with their pet bobcat on a leash and they walk in and say that's a class 4 animal, we can have confusion there because that may not be something that was covered in officer class. So we need to get that completely out of class 4 to where it doesn't even list them. They're either class 2 or, as a unicorn, if it would happen, class 3. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier, and we appreciate your comments. Mrs. Frazier, do you want to speak? Okay. Going on down the list, Mr. Walker, you mentioned you wanted to speak. Do you want to say anything about this? Okay. Dr. Jones, you're good. Ms. Lamar? All right, please come to the podium and the timer will start. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I echo what Mr. Frazier said about appreciating all of y'all's time, and I appreciate it takes a lot of time. There is still a lot of language that is very confusing, particularly for the 2 people in the state that have USFWS special purpose falconry education, whether or not we're supposed to be considered exhibitors. I've pretty much studied the federal code, the state statutes, and the rules about as much as anybody in the last year. And there is no definition of exhibitor anywhere in the statutes. There's only the definition of permanent exhibitor and temporary, and it doesn't say what an exhibit is. It doesn't say what a facility is. Basically, the only thing I can come up with is one's permanent is inside the state and temporary is outside. So the federal code, sorry, let me just find it. There's federal 50 CFR Title 9, Chapter 1, Subchapter A, Part 1.1. There is a definition for exhibitor, and it specifically says that it does not include falconry because it contributes and advances the agricultural arts and sciences. The fee currently right now, which is $1,220, is onerous and prohibitive, particularly for those who have these falconry education licenses. We have to purchase our own captive bred birds. We have to feed them. We have to provide facilities, do everything. We're not a nonprofit, so everything we have is at risk. It is incredibly difficult to get help, and it also says that it does say that it exempts. You don't have in the falconry one, it says that we don't have to get this commercial propagation license, which is $3,000. But what it doesn't say is, are we exempt from having to get a letter from the executive director in order to add, subtract, or transfer raptors? None of that's clarified. That would be an impossibility, making it impossible for us to operate. There's just so many things that are not clear for us holding that special permit that I just don't see how it can be passed without those clarifications. And I think that's it. I know I'm coming to, but I do think we should stick to that federal code definition. And really, there should be definitions for exhibit in the statutes, and that's something that maybe needs to go back to the General Assembly for those definitions. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. That's all the folks that was on the list that wanted to speak. So, commissioners, are there any follow-up? All right, hearing none. Are we ready to vote?
Sorry, Chairman.
All right.
I just had 2 seconds on the microphone.
There's another rule, and you'll have 3 minutes after that rule. Thank you. Miss Mary, please call the roll to take the vote.
Chris Devaney. Yes. Jimmy Granberry.
Yes.
Monty Bellew.
Yes.
Stan Butt.
Yes.
Wally Childress. Bill Cox. Chip Saltzman.
Yes.
Hank Wright.
Yes.
Brad Botts. Yes. Rhonda Moody.
Yes.
Kent Woods. Yes. Greg Davenport.
Yes.
Tommy Woods.
Yes.
Chairman, that's all ayes.
Thank you, Miss Mary. The rule amendment to Chapter 1660-01-18 Rules and Regulations of Live Wildlife passes. Deputy Director Weir, please present the rule relative to possession and use of raptors.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a new rule. We have taken the former falconry regulations out of the migratory bird rule. So I'll be presenting 1660-01-37 Rules and Regs Governing Raptors. Under the purpose section, we spelled out that we are formally adopting the raptor regulations found in Federal Code, Title 50, CFR Parts 21 and 22 that deal specifically with migratory birds and raptors in particular. You can see there where we have come into line with the federal regulations on several fronts. The definitions, the reporting periods, and some of the other standards, we are adopting that code and stating that we are in agreement and have the same regulations as the federal regs. We adopted our definitions directly from the TCA Title 74-402, which includes temporary and permanent exhibitors and a class, what is defined as a facility. That's also in 74-402, and taken directly from the draft that the Tennessee Falconry Association provided for us. So we included some of those definitions. And then upon their request and suggestion, we actually moved raptor from the purpose section of the document to the definition section. Under the permit section, we outline the requirements for a falconry permit in Tennessee and state that you do have to have a falconry permit in Tennessee or another state that follows the federal requirements if you're practicing falconry in Tennessee. If you're moving into Tennessee from another state, we will honor that permit and you can transfer your former state's permit to Tennessee as long as you make application within 30 days. And we also will allow an exemption if the person is applying for a similar permit in Tennessee and they've held that permit in another state, they're exempt from taking the falconry exam, the test that a person off the street without a previous permit would have to take. We also adopted the federal permit classes, apprentice, general, and master. There's one noted exception there. Under the apprentice class, the federal rule does not have this requirement but we all felt comfortable with maintaining the restriction that first-time apprentice falconer can only possess a wild-caught red-tailed hawk, American kestrel, or one legally obtained captive-bred raptor. Another note on the master class, it was always a limit of 5 wild-caught raptors, but we, again, in line with the federal code, spelled out that there's no limit on captive-bred. We did maintain our banding requirements. Any wild-caught native raptors have to be banded or tagged in accordance with federal code. With the exceptions of an American kestrel and some of the others listed there, these are primarily smaller birds, and it could be a band could cause irritation or injury to those, so they're exempted from the rule. Also, we've spelled out that there's no banding requirement for birds that are not covered under the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and any captive-bred raptors are already covered. Under the permit section, we also spelled out the revocation or suspension clause. If you violate any of the rules or wildlife laws in Tennessee, you're subject to revocation or suspension pending adjudication. Permit is suspended or revoked. Upon request by the permittee, the agency may consider reinstating that after the revocation period. Again, this was already the case, but falconry housing facilities have to be inspected prior to issuance or renewal of a permit. And I think also upon changing residence, or if there's any. We do honor the federal special purpose permits, which would include a falconry education permit. We just require a copy of the federal permit and the scope be provided to us, and that shall not violate Tennessee law. If the scope of such a permit falls under the exhibitor permits as defined in TCA 74-402 for Class 2 species, then an exhibitor permit is required. Again, that would be where they're displaying Class 2 wildlife and charging the fee. A Tennessee commercial propagator permit is not required in addition to the permanent exhibitor permit. Under the abatement permit section, just to let you know, in case anybody's unclear, abatement is when someone uses a bird, a raptor, to otherwise control or kill nuisance wildlife and charges a fee for that service. So it might be pigeons, at a runway or something like that. Payment can be accepted for providing those services if that person has a federal special purpose abatement permit. And I believe they have to already be a master falconer to qualify for that permit. And so if they're performing those activities for a fee, we would also require, just like anybody else doing nuisance wildlife control across the state, that person would be required to get an animal damage control permit. It's free of charge, and if that person is practicing bird-based only, meaning they're using their raptor to chase off some nuisance birds, they're already a master falconer, then we may exempt them from the for the ADC permit. Under propagation, to their regional migratory bird permit office, and they also, before anybody propagates, they have to have a propagation permit for each location, and our state code and the rule that we just went over. For the falconry or for raptor purposes, if someone has a federal Fish and Wildlife Service propagation permit, that will meet the requirement for propagation of raptors in Tennessee. Under general requirements, we are requiring that everyone submit the Fish and Wildlife Service. That can be by email or paper copy. Again, wild raptors can only be taken in accordance with what the commission in their proclamation, much like whenever they pass the hunting seasons every year, there's a specific season for take. So that's outlined in proclamation. Non-residents can bring their bird into the state to hunt, just like you would bring any other weapon into the state if you're going to hunt in Tennessee. And if a person holding a falconry or special permit or special purpose permit accepts money, now this is beyond somebody paying for your fuel or taking you to lunch if you take them out. But if they accept money beyond just recouping their costs for any activity that helps another person in any act of hunting, fishing, or trapping, then they have to buy a guide license. We also, in taking in the federal code and honoring that, there's specific regulations that are very detailed on what's required for a person to possess eagles and be able to have an eagle on their falconry permit and hunt them. And so we've put in writing here that we would endorse that if they meet those federal qualifications and we're lucky enough
to be able to get an eagle, then we can put an endorsement on their falconry permit that shows that they're allowed to hunt those. And then finally, the clause, a violation of any of the rules and regulations or any law governing the wildlife of the state or country may be sufficient cause to refuse to issue a permit or to revoke a permit. If an applicant or holder of a permit has been charged with a violation of these rules and regulations or state or federal wildlife laws, a permit may be suspended pending adjudication. So it may be suspended depending on the outcome of the trial, if it goes to trial. And that's the conclusion of the Raptor rule presentation.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Members of the commission, are there any questions or comments relative to the rule amendment proposed? Hearing none. We'll go to the public and going down the list again, those that wanted to speak. Mr. Frazier, you good? Okay. Mrs. Frazier. Mr. Walker. Please state your name.
Trey Walker.
Thank you, Trey.
I'm a little nervous. I don't know why, because I got up a couple times in June. But this is to say thank you to you all. So I've jotted down a few notes. We got 2 minutes and 50 seconds to stumble through it. So speaking for myself, I appreciate TWRA's time during the last year. We've been in this process for just over a year now, and I appreciate everybody that's responded, everybody's time. You all have given more time than normal, I do believe, to us falconers. TWRA has been very gracious with their time. Us falconers and Tennessee license holders did make phone calls and send emails to express our concerns with how the direction of the new falconry regulations were going a year ago. We became extremely nervous when we saw what was trying to be proposed in the way of falconry regulations over a year ago. And as a small group, we figured we might have to be a little louder than most other organizations to be heard. I believe we were heard, and we do appreciate that. As I told you in the June meeting, I have always respected TWRA as an agency. My father-in-law retired from TWRA just a few years ago, and I just really believe in the agency and what it does and represents. I appreciate you all managing the wildlife for my kids and their kids. It means more than you know to me. I'm here for falconry, but moreover, I'm here for hunting in general. All over the country, hunting and trapping rights are being revoked and voted out of existence. Hunting, trapping, and hunting with hounds is being criminalized by general public. They're being louder than us hunters. We have to stand together as hunters and anglers and speak for the minority hunting and fishing groups. Whether we like it or not, we are being scrutinized for enjoying hunting, trapping, and fishing. And to me, if we fight for the minority groups, in essence, we are protecting hunting as a whole. Thank you all for listening to us. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you again, guys, for bringing Vince in to help with all this. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Jason, and everybody involved. The patches are a gift, and I've collected patches since I was a kid. So patches are my thing. And we do that I made those for TFA. Thank you all sitting in front of me. We appreciate it. It means a whole lot more than I can express standing in front of you that you did listen to us.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. We appreciate those comments, and those statements were true concerning the infringing on our rights to hunt and fish. It is a definite issue. And thanks for the patches. Okay. Dr. Jones, you're on the list next. Please come to the podium. State your name.
Michael Jones. Just a quick comment. I wanted to speak to Commissioner Salzman. Last time you asked me, were these regulations better or worse? And I will tell you they're dramatically better. Having been a falconer in the state for 31 years, this is the best we've ever had. And you asking that question, I think that brought to attention what we need to do as an agency and working with falconers and other groups to get to this point where we have conversations and we have conversations that are productive. So thank you for asking that question. Brief comment. I echo the thanks as well. So thank you all for helping us get to this point. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jones, and thank you all for coming. Let's see, Ms. Lamar, would you like to comment? Please come to the podium, state your name in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I am still confused. I'll start with the Mr. Ware said something about the revocation. There are two different clauses in this. One is the normal one. It says upon conviction, they may suspend or revoke a license. The last comment now just says upon being charged. So what I am not clear, it appears that this would be a constitutional violation if, and obviously I'm concerned because I believe my constitutional rights were violated in, as the judge said, in an egregious manner. And as you all know, I'm actually suing several officers at the agency at this moment for that. And I'm just concerned that this is an opening. Why do we need this last provision when it already talks about revocation and suspension upon conviction? The wording, and I'm just concerned because it's already happened, that these rules can be misinterpreted. That seems to leave the door open for if somebody is just charged, for example, as I was, that you could suspend or revoke their license at that point before due process. So I don't see the reason for having this last provision in there because it's already dealt with previously in the rule. Again, I am not sure if I'm an exhibitor or not. It's not clear. There's no definition for exhibitor. There's no definition for facility. I don't have people view my class 2 captive bred wildlife in enclosures. I charge less than half of what any other holder of my permit charges in the entire country. The $1,220 permit fee is more than any surrounding state by 8 times. All the surrounding states are about $150. So plus there's this issue of having to get a letter from the director to put on or take off, which would mean I could not use my federal permit because it just would be too onerous. So I too would like to refer to Commissioner Saltzman, who mentioned that, what is the rush? We need to get this right. I do think it's come a huge long way. A lot of these guys, unfortunately, don't have some of the permits that I do from the federal government. They don't operate under them. I do and have to. And to me, there are still provisions of this that need to be clarified. And I could legally challenge that I would need to get an exhibitor permit because there's no definition. And then I'm going to have to add that to my lawsuit, which I really don't want to have to add any more to my lawsuit. So thank you. I hope you'll support my wildlife education.
Thank you for those comments and thank you for coming today. Any follow-up from any of the commissioners? All right, are we ready to vote? You're not on the list. No. You didn't sign in? No. Hold on a second. Please come to the podium, state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Bruce Pren. I'm here on Holly's behalf. I go around the country volunteering for the last 2 years, and I rolled into Nashville and met her. And we got to talking, and she said she could use the help. So I went to her house and started helping her fix up her pens and everything. And then I got to know her and her birds. And she really cares about her birds more than anyone ever seen. And I guess her birds got taken from her a year ago or whatever. And anybody that took her birds from her didn't spend any amount of time with her because she is totally dedicated to those birds day and night. And I've been with her, traveling around, doing shows with her, and seeing the faces, the people enjoy what she does. And she educates everybody that comes around, and they walk away thanking her for everything she's done. And for her to get charged so much money for doing what she does to the public and making people aware of all the different birds, I just think it's just not right. And I'm here on her behalf just to let everybody know that she's a good person and she's trying to do the right thing for everybody. And thank you for your time. And that's about all I got to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming and we appreciate your comments. All right, back to the vote. Are we ready to vote? Okay. Miss Mary, please call the roll to take the vote.
Chris Devaney. Yes. Jimmy Granberry.
Yes.
Monty Ballou.
Yes.
Stan Butt.
Yes.
Wally Childress.
Yes.
Bill Cox. Chip Saltzman.
Yes.
Hank Wright.
Yes.
Brad Box.
Yes.
Rhonda Moody. Yes. Kent Woods.
Yes.
Greg Davenport.
Yes.
Chairman, that's all ayes.
The new rule, Chapter 1660-01-37, Rules and Regulations Governing the Possession and the Use of Raptors passes. All right, Commissioners, any other business from the Commissioners? Closing comments from the Executive Director?
No, sir. Don't have any.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Adjourned.